Great Faith Groups, and welcome to today's teaching on the foundations of the strength of great faith. My oldest son, for the last couple years, I don't know how this started, but has been attempting to prove himself and his strength by arm wrestling with me. And up until a few weeks ago, it was never a problem. But a few weeks ago, we arm wrestled and we came to a standoff. Neither one of us could budge the other. And so I'm not going to arm wrestle him again because I don't want him to know that his strength is growing beyond mine. Why is his strength growing? Because he is getting to the gym, he's hitting the weights, he's working out on a regular basis. Why does some people's faith get great? Because they put in the work, they practice the foundational spiritual disciplines to strengthen their faith. That's what we're going to look at today. And I define strength, if you will, the strength of our faith is the seat of our power and influence. And it's not just physical strength, although in reality, part of our strength of great faith is a physical strength. There's a physical strength and stamina. There's a material wealth and resources aspect to our great faith strength. There's the emotional and mental strength that we have. And of course, there's a spiritual strength that we have as well. So all of these areas contribute to our great faith. Now, you might be going, well, my physical strength doesn't have anything to do with it. I believe it does. Because I believe if we are physically healthy and strong, then we are physically ready to take steps of faith, to live the life that God is going to lead us into. If we are materially wealthy, strong, and I don't just mean that we have a certain amount of money, but that our finances are in right order, then we will also be ready to walk out in great faith. If we are emotionally and mentally strong. And so we're going to talk throughout the year on how we develop the strength in these areas and stuff. But today what we want to look at is what is the spiritual disciplines that are equivalent to, if you will, going to the gym for our great faith to be strengthened. And I want to start by looking at a passage in Nehemiah. It's chapter 8, verse 10, and it says, "The joy of the Lord is my strength." And I think oftentimes people correctly interpret this to mean that I am happy in God, that I have the joy of the Lord. But it's not just saying that I'm happy, it's saying that the joy of God is my strength. What does that mean? I want to give you another way to look at this, and I liken it to me as a parent having the strength to do things for my children because it brings them joy. It might not bring me joy, but I'll do it because it brings them joy. Let me give you an example. All three of my children play soccer, which means I am driving to and from the soccer field many times every week. I don't get great joy in driving and fighting traffic and stoplights and having to worry about if the police officer just saw if I went through that yellow, some might argue, red light. That's not what brings me joy or strengthens me to do that. What strengthens me to do that is the joy I see my kids have in being part of a soccer team, in playing games and having their friends on that team. And in the same way, when it comes to my faith, I don't always enjoy fasting. I don't always enjoy serving, but I have the strength to do it because I see the joy of the Lord that it brings. And before we talk about the disciplines, I want to talk about just a minimal goal, if you will, in the strength it takes to have great faith. And that is what I define as healthy. If there's any areas of our strength that you're not healthy, I want to encourage you to set the goal to be healthy, whether it's physical health and strength, whether it's financial health, whether it's emotional and mental health. Now, we don't prioritize any of this stuff above our faith. We don't make excuses to say no to God because we're trying to get strong in an area, but we want to set goals and work towards health in all of these different ways that we need the strength to have great faith. So let's talk, though, about the disciplines that will help us get healthy and even beyond that into great strength for great faith. The first discipline I want to talk about is tithing. Tithing obviously helps us with our financial strength, our wealth. Tithing is giving 10% of whatever income we have back to God, often done or usually done through giving it to a local church. The lesson here, what strengthens our faith in this is that we say, God, I recognize everything has come from you, and I give this back as a sign of faith, that what you have given me is enough. What you have given me, what you have provided for me. And tithing does not start when we have a certain amount of money. Tithing begins the moment we say we're believers. And so the first spiritual discipline that I think helps us have the strength we need to have great faith is starting to tithe on a regular basis. The second discipline is fasting. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might be going, wait a second, how is fasting going to help make me stronger? Doesn't that make me weaker? Well, yes, temporarily fasting might make you physically weaker. But fasting is, again, a practice that reminds us of the strength that we need has to be strength that comes from God. It's the setting aside of something to know that our strength comes from God. The reason we mostly fast food is so that we can have the physical strength, we can be reminded of the physical strength we need to go through our life. Fasting, though, is this principle, this act of saying, I am going to give something up as a reminder to myself that I am reliant upon God for my strength. That's an aspect of fasting. The third form, or the third spiritual discipline that I believe is a foundation to our strength, is serving. And I think this one is huge. I think it's so important. We must be serving the kingdom of God somewhere, because you see, our strength is given not for us to be strong, but for the kingdom of God to be advanced. Our strength comes from doing things that bring God joy. Our strength is given to us that we might have the ability to serve God and serve others. And so serving is a foundational discipline. In fact, as part of a Great Faith group, it's an encouragement, if you will. And when I say that, I want you to hear me say requirement, that you are serving in a local church somewhere, that you are serving the kingdom of God. Now, maybe you're serving outside a local church, but with a local ministry of some sort. But you should be serving on a regular basis as you continue to find the strength of great faith. And the next spiritual discipline goes along with that, and that is obedience. Obedience is putting our strength toward the things of God. Whether it's obedience when God says, I want you to give money to a missionary, or it's obedience when God says, I want you to be part of this serve team, or it's obedience when God says, I want you to go and do this thing. Whatever it might be, do you have the mental, emotional, physical, financial strength to be obedient to God? Well, obedience is a spiritual discipline that helps make sure our strength is being used for the kingdom and purposes of God. And the last spiritual discipline is what in common Christian language we would call sabbatical. In normal language we would call rest. You need to have a discipline of rest. You need to regularly refresh your strength. So if you are physically tired, you need to have physical ways of rest. You need to get good sleep. You need to not be overworking yourself. If you are mentally or emotionally tired, you need to have ways to mentally and emotionally refresh. And I want to talk about this one in terms of the difference between resting and laziness, or resting and weakness. Okay? We rest because we've put in the work. We rest physically because we have done things physically. We rest emotionally because we have done things emotionally. We rest spiritually because we have done things for the kingdom of God. In Genesis, it talks about God created the earth in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested. I see a lot of Christians wanting the rest of the seventh day without doing the work of the first 6 days. And what I mean by that is, for our great faith to really be replenished by rest, then we must be obedient, we must be serving, we must be tithing to know the joy of the seventh day rest. So these things are a little bit different than some of the other spiritual disciplines, because we can't necessarily do these each day. Unless you're having a daily paycheck, you're not tithing daily. You probably aren't fasting every single day of your life, but you should be fasting regularly. Serving and obedience come as the Lord leads and as the opportunity arises. So what can we do in the 30 minutes of our time with God each and every day? Well, my encouragement to you is to simply ask the Lord to show you, God, where can I use my strength for your kingdom today? Just simple prayer. God, where can I use my strength for your kingdom today? Maybe it's, hey, you're emotionally strong, encourage someone who's having a hard day. Hey, you've got a little bit of extra money. Your wealth is in a good place. Hey, be generous today. It might be that spiritually you're in a good place. Pray for the sick. Whatever it might be. God, how can I use my strength towards your kingdom today?